The whole idea of this covenant that he's talking about is to make people his slaves. Is all this generational cause he's talking about is to put people under bondage of slavery. That is the goal. Two goals they have: to make our people their slaves, and number two, to make our people give support with them and hard-earned money. It's just two things, two targets: to collect people's money and to make them their slaves through fear and through, hero worshiping them. Okay, before I go, let me show you some of the things that will prove to you that the goal of Oyedepo is to make people into slaves. Okay, there is something that is called pastoral covenant, but it is a slavery covenant. It's not pastoral covenant. So I call it pastoral covenant slavery of Oyedepo. So it makes his pastors to sign a covenant. Can you believe it? He makes his pastors to sign a covenant. And that covenant is making them slaves to himself. So living faith. Okay, see what he's saying. You have to, if you see pastoral covenant, the covenant of Jesus is not enough. So for you to become a pastor in Oyedepo's church, you have to enter into covenant with him. The covenant of Christ is not enough. And then they will say, even though you have entered into covenant, then they will still call it volunteer service. So that you don't have any right at all. You are just volunteering. And then you are still a covenant. And what do you covenant? What is your so on this day of this date, having subscribed to service as a pastor under the volunteer service scheme. You have entered into covenant and it's volunteer of the Living Faith Church Worldwide, herein referred to as ministry, and having consented to serve in any of the missions ministry stations in Nigeria or elsewhere, you are consented. You are gone. You are a goner. They can use you in Nigeria, or they can use you anywhere, any mission or elsewhere undertakes as follows. Look at your undertaking: to abide by the tenets of the ministry as contained in his registered objectives. You are a slave forever. People sell their rights. They sell themselves in the name of becoming pastors, in the name of getting $100 a month. And such are men, and they will still say they are helping you because it's a volunteer something. So what do you commit to? To abide by the tenets of the ministry. So you don't have any right. You have signed it. You have to abide as contained in its registered objective and its amendment addition as may be made from time to time throughout. So if any addition they make from time to time, you have already committed to it. As a covenant, you are in trouble. You will sign one, and any amendment, it doesn't matter what amendment will be made, or any addition that will be made from time to time, and they are telling you, and you don't even know what the amendment will be. You don't know what the addition will be. You are already signed that no, you are already going to abide by it. This is slavery. This is what Oyedepo is doing with our people. He's taking our people into slaves. He's just exploiting our people. He's converting our people to slaves. Now, I just started with this so that you will know that it's real, but because it's not so clean, so we are writing other points. To comply with all rules, regulation. Can you imagine? You have to comply. It doesn't matter what rules. It's just a blanket law. Any rule, all rules, all regulations and directives that the ministry may issue from time to time. You don't even know what it's going to be. You have to comply. What about if the ministry issues directive that you should go and jump in the river? You have signed now that it's a covenant. It's binding to duly account for all money received. You see, it's all about money. All money you are the pastor of the church, but all money that comes there, you have to give it to them. You are the pastor, you are the one doing the job. Even sometimes you are the one who use your money to open the church, but all money will go to them. To duly account for all money received by me on behalf of the ministry, and to pay over same to the ministry at such times and manner as may be directed. You are just an animal. The money will come through your sweat. The money will come through your labor. The money will come through your work, through your hard work, through your investment. but you have no say about it. This is how this man is making slaves of our people. Except as may be authorized or required by my duties, not to disclose to any person, you see, fear and slavery, any confidential information which may come to my knowledge. So you are gagged forever. You cannot question anything. To my knowledge, during my engagement with the ministry, and to use my best endeavor to prevent the use of any such confidential information by any other person without proper authorization, and to abide by the provisions of this clause during and after the determination of my engagement with the ministry. So you are gagged forever, and it's a covenant you are signing. To use my best endeavor to observe, conform to, fulfill, and obey all lawful directives and orders of the ministry as may be given from time to time, and not at any time except in cases of illness or other unavoidable causes, absent myself from the service of the ministry without its previous consent. So you have to be there. In every service they do, anything they call, you have to be, unless you are sick. If you are not sick, you must be. So you cannot go to solitude to pray. You cannot go and do your own thing. You cannot go and say you are attending to your wife. You cannot go and attend to your son. You cannot take your children to school and say you cannot go to a meeting. You cannot have any genuine reason. The only reason you might miss any of their meeting is if you are dying on the sick bed. So you cannot go and be walking. These people are just tyrants. To use my best endeavor to promote and maintain the success and reputation and interest of the ministry. So you have to work. You don't have your own life. Just work for the ministry. To abide by the ministry's time schedule of service and not to lay undue burden on congregation. To recognize in full, without prejudice, the leadership hierarchy of the ministry and to submit to the various levels of authority without any reservation. So you are a robot. You shouldn't have feelings. You shouldn't have your own opinion. You are just a robot. This man is building a slave camp. This Winners Chapel is not a church. It's a slave camp. You can see the proof. If this is how they are treating pastors, what would they do with members? Members are just not human beings. They are just worshippers of Oyedepo. Not to leave my place of primary assignment or territory to any other location without the prior written consent of relevant authority. So you cannot leave. Even to your own family, you cannot go. You cannot go and see your parents. You cannot go and see your mother. You cannot go. You can travel. You cannot go anywhere. You are just like a goat that is tied to the tree. But you have to have written consent. If you write application to go to see your parents or your wife is dying or something, if they don't get permission, written permission, you are caged. Upon my contravention of any of the declarations listed there herein, I hereby submit myself to all sanctions. You are in trouble. I submit myself. You yourself, you are giving yourself up for this kind of treatment, for sanctions as may deem fit by the Living Faith Church worldwide, and by any other person or persons as may be empowered to do so by any person or persons. This is wickedness and barbarism of the highest order. Let me read to you a letter that I just got. Okay, see what it's saying. Hello, sir. I can write a whole book on Oyedepo. He's not even saying bishop. This is a pastor. This was a pastor from Oyedepo's church. He said he can write a whole book on Oyedepo. He is the most corrupt pastor in Nigeria. This is somebody writing now. He is the most corrupt pastor in Nigeria. Pastor Sunday, you are thinking it is Ashimolowo that is the most corrupt? You thinking it's Adeboye? No, they are not. They are small compared to Oyedepo. And Oyedepo actually corrupted them. Oyedepo corrupted Ashimolowo. Oyedepo corrupted Adeboye. It was since Oyedepo made Adeboye his spiritual father that Adeboye became corrupt. Pastor Sunday, you know what? You are a dream come true. I never knew 6 years ago that a popular pastor like yourself, a popular person like yourself, can be so used by God to vindicate what we have all known. We pastors who are pastors under Oyedepo. You said this man now has moved from Nigeria to England. He's now a doctor in England. And when he was a doctor in England, he is one of the people that treated Oyedepo in England when Oyedepo was sick. So he said this man is a wicked man. He's a con artist. He said when he was sick, they admitted Oyedepo to hospital in 2008 in England. For several weeks, he was sick in the hospital. But Oyedepo will come back to Nigeria. And even in that same England, he will not let any member of his church know. He will tell all our pastors that Baba is in Nigeria, he's doing prayers. He's in the mountain. He's on the mountain praying. But he was in the hospital in England. And they were treating him as a doctor too. And he said now that he will come after he came back from the hospital. He went to the pulpit and said he has never been sick in his life. So he's a liar. He said he has never been sick in his life. And that he never went to hospital. But when he goes to church, he will also tell his members to be drinking oil and be drinking Ribena and be wearing handkerchief. When he is going to the best hospital in England, he is telling people that he has power to heal. And his members should not go to the hospital. They shouldn't believe in diagnosis that they have been diagnosed with. And those people are dying sheep death. Where he is going for the best medical services. Pastor, I'm going to send you more information about him today. I'm ashamed for what I'm going to show you that that this man has done. I have disassociated myself from him. This is the letter I just got right now. So let's hear. I think we have to hear that video again so that you will know how serious what we are doing is. And this man is just mesmerizing people's intelligence.
The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. God does not need no donation from you. Your giving is a spiritual transaction, not a donation.
See what he's saying? That your giving, nobody needs your donation. Nobody needs your donation. And your giving is a transaction. This man here said when he was in that as a medical doctor in England, he was giving to the church. He couldn't even afford anything. But see what he's saying. But after I left Winners, when he stopped, he said, I stopped taking my tithe offering, all those Shiloh, everything. I stopped giving tithe. He even stopped giving tithe. He said, but though I do giving, free will giving to people, but I stopped giving tithe. He said, when I left Winners, 50% of all our friends, disappeared. But to be honest, I bless God for that because we started going to a white church. Where in that white church, in 100 years, nobody ever called for money or tithe. But see what has happened. The things I couldn't do in Winners, because they were taking all the money, offering, giving, everything. But after I left Winners, I have bought a house that is costing for $500,000. Pounds. £500,000. So £500,000 house is where I'm living right now. I've been able to buy a house costing 500,000. 500,000, $500,000, just the house alone. After leaving, thank God he left. All that money was going to Winners. They were saying we will not be blessed. It is after he left Winners that he started being blessed. When he was there, he couldn't be blessed because he was taking everything to the church. He said, apart from that, Pastor, I've built houses, several houses in Nigeria. I built several houses in Nigeria, not on loan. None of this thing is on loan or on credit. Not the house in England on loan, not the house in Nigeria, just from saving, from not paying tithe for 6 years. He stopped paying tithe for 6 years, and in between those 6 years, he has built many houses in Nigeria, and he has built a $500,000 house in all those things he was supposed to be taking to church for tithe, for offering, for this offering, for that offering. He is now building wealth. That is what Nigeria would have become if not for these churches. Can you imagine all those money every family has taken to churches for they have to have invested them? If every family has invested, started business, can you see the booming economy that would have been happening in Nigeria? It is the churches that are hoarding all the wealth of Nigeria. They are being hoarded. What do you mean? What do I mean by hoarding? Let's say there is rice. There is production of 1 million rice. And all the churches are saying, bring all the rice. So you brought all the rice and all the rice are piled up in these churches. Then there is no more, only 1 million. No, all the 1 million or maybe 800 out of 1 million or 900 out of 1 million is already in the churches, hoarded. They are keeping them. Only 100 is left, bag of rice is left for the whole country. That's why poverty is. Nobody can eat because only the ones who are powerful and more money can afford that 100. That's how poverty comes to the country. So the wealth of the country is hoarded by these churches. Let's say we have 1 million bag of rice. All the 1 million bag of rice being taken to the church. The whole country is poor, pure. No rice to cook. Nobody rice to sell. No, you cannot do business. You cannot save. You cannot be industry. That is what has happened to Nigeria. These churches have killed our economy. These churches have killed our people. These churches, you cannot send your children to school. You cannot, go build your pension plan. You cannot build your industry. You cannot start your own business. You cannot be, because all the money has been taken to the churches and the churches are holding them down. This is what happened to this man. He stopped taking money to winners and his breakthrough came. All these people who are deceiving themselves that it is by taking money to Oyedepo or any of these churches that they will have breakthrough is lying. The only person who's going to have breakthrough is Oyedepo himself. And you will be having poverty. So this man said he has houses all over Nigeria now. I got to, apart from that, he's still writing, I got to the peak of my career as a medical consultant in the UK. After he left, because when he was in the church, he was a pastor. Assistant pastor, because the pastor there is, in the UK is the son and all that. So he was an assistant pastor. He was running up and down as an errand boy. He has to drive Oyedepo because he's a medical doctor. He has to drive Oyedepo, the wife. He has to take. He didn't have time to develop his profession. He couldn't read because by the time you come back home, you are tired. No time to develop yourself. But thank God he stopped going to Oyedepo's church. As a result, he said he got to the peak of his career as a medical consultant in the UK. A Nigerian in the UK hospital who was not even bread and butter in UK before. I got my citizenship after I left the church. I couldn't get my citizenship. He couldn't get his papers. And he was paying, giving seed to get the papers. They were telling them to go and do this, to go and do that. Breakthrough will come, you get your papers. He couldn't get any of those things. He couldn't get the house. He couldn't get anything. Now, everything came after leaving these are Nigerian churches. He said, no man lays hands on me to get all these things. So just by hard work. And I didn't do any covenant, anything. I didn't even give tithe. No covenant, nothing. And I got all these things. So he's saying, Pastor, please tell all those people who are watching you. Let me see what he's writing here. Please, Pastor, tell Nigerians who are following you on the platform to quit going to African churches. He said he's begging you. If you are in the UK and you are still going to any African church, he said, if you want to make it run for your life, go to white church. Go to white Caucasian church. Run away from Nigerian churches. Many of them are following you, Pastor, but they are still deacons and workers in these churches. They are wasting their lives in this RCCG, winners, KICC, and everything. That's what this man is saying. He made it thanks to the fact that he was able to get himself safe and run away from that, somewhat national, from this cult called churches.